A wild Monday night ending in a 37-yard attempt from Randy Bullock. Drills it. Had missed a pair earlier in the night, but atones for past sins. And that comes on the tail end of a Tommy DeVito drive to set up the field goal. Jordan Love, the possession prior, leading his team down the field into a 1-point lead, but time for celebration in the DeVito household. 3 in a row for Tommy D's Giants. Ryan Wilson aboard alongside the two-time Super Bowl champ Ryan McFadden. I mean, this game, fellas, it gives us everything we love. And I'm not talking about this specific game. I'm talking about the game of football. I mean, who would have thought Week 14, primetime matchup, Tommy DeVito's the quarterback, his family's in the stands, his cousins are in the parking lot, and he comes up with a primetime drive to set up the game-winning field goal. There's a lot of different ways to come at DeVito's night tonight, but he was so sharp in everything that the team asked him to do. Take me to those final moments. Watching Tommy DeVito do that inspired what in you, Ryan Wilson? I'm smiling because all I can think about is B-Mac time and time again. B-Mac, it's a 5-star matchup because Tommy DeVito is in it. And I said it at halftime. When you have confidence as a young player and you understand that you're on the roster, your coach believes in you, your teammates believe in you, the defense is stepping up, you have the ability to go out and make plays unencumbered about the concerns with mistakes. And we saw that pass at the end of the last drive there. You cannot leave Tommy DeVito 93 seconds. He threw a laser down the right side to set up that game-winning touchdown. Wan'Dale Robinson with the catch, the game-winning kick, excuse me. And look, I'm sure there were some concerns with Randy Bullock. You mentioned, Joe, he mentioned missed those 2 kicks, came back and laced the game winner as time expired. What a huge win. And I don't want to look too far ahead, but I was checking the schedule as you were reading the highlight there, Joe. It ain't over for the Giants yet. There is still some room for them to make this move, even though they're now at 5-8. Great win. And we talked to our buddy, coordinating producer Scott Raleigh, huge Giants fan. And I asked him, when was the last time they had a folk hero like Tommy DeVito? Have to go back to hefty lefty Jared Lorenzen. What a great story. What a great win at home in front of his family.
Oh, yeah. I mean, this is a huge story. We highlighted Tommy DeVito and the DeVito mania pregame, and he's living up to the billing. And one thing I like about that last drive that led to a game-winning field goal was just how cool and calm he was, knowing the situation, right? Taking what the defense was giving him, because we saw softer coverage from the third-level guys from the Packers, and he was just nickel and diming them, knowing that he had two timeouts at his disposal. So usually young quarterbacks do what, guys? They rush, they press, they try to get chunk plays immediately. No, not with Tommy D. He just kind of took his time, nickel and dimed them, and finally got into an opportunity where he was able to hit that 7 cut to Wan'Dale Robinson, that corner route, and then, of course, automatically they're in field goal range. So what we saw was just the team, the morale coming together. Everyone is rallying with Tommy DeVito. This is a feel-good story. Do we know if this is sustainable? We don't know. But right now, they're living in the moment, and as he mentioned, Ryan, mathematically speaking, they're still in playoff contention.
It's unbelievable, and it's one of the best stories going. Tommy DeVito, I know you covered and sort of broke down some of what we saw coming into the league, Ryan, and this was not expected in any way, shape, or form. And the way that he has represented the Giants and that part of the country, it's been beautiful. 71 rushing yards as well in this one on 10 rushes. He was doing everything he needed to do to get his team to a W in this case. I want to ask some questions about the Packers in a moment, but I want to stay positive here about the Giants. But I can't help but think DeVito's playing with confidence right now, and it's producing real results. How do you explain what we're seeing right now in this offense for Tommy DeVito relative to what we saw out of this offense and Daniel Jones? Like, why is it working now and why was it not then?
I think the expectations may have had something to do with it. I'll be interested to hear what B-Mac says, because a year ago when Brian Daboll arrived, they didn't have really any players. They had the roster that was there before Daboll showed up. They had Saquon, they had Daniel Jones, and they got a lot out of a little. This offseason, they spent some money, they made some draft picks to help bolster that offense, and it just never came together, injuries and inconsistency. And it felt like coming into this game at 4-8, DeVito's been the starter for 4 games now, I believe. It was a we don't care because we're out of it mentality. And sometimes you play a little looser when that's the case, and that appeared to to be the situation with the way Tommy DeVito has lifted this team around him. It's so funny to say that out loud. But Joe and BMAC, we are living in a world where Tommy DeVito had to save Saquon Barkley after the weirdest fumble you will ever see, drive that team down the field after Jordan Love led that touchdown drive to get the Giants the win. And I think, again, it's just confidence and the understanding that it doesn't matter what happens. We're going to go out here and throw the football around. I'm QB3. If we win, great. And that's exactly how it played out.
Yeah, what I'm seeing and what I'm starting to realize right now is the hard truth is that Daniel Jones is not that important to this team. Daniel Jones is a quote-unquote franchise quarterback based on pay, compensation, but as in regards to production this year and wins, he's not the guy. Daniel Jones played in 5 ball games, right, before getting injured. If I'm not mistaken, Daniel Jones had 1 win. Tommy DeVito just started his 4th game, 5th game? 5th, right?
I want to say number 6. I want to say it was 0-3 to now 3-0 for Tommy DeVito.
He started 6 games, he has 3 wins. 3 straight wins, by the way. So what I'm starting to see right now, and the hard truth is Daniel Jones is not that important to the New York Giants. I think it's safe to say, even with Tyrod Taylor in the lineup, just having a healthy Saquon Barkley, they were still a serviceable team. They found ways to kind of screw some things up, but they were competitive. Tyrod Taylor goes out with an injury. Tommy DeVito jumps in, took some time to kind of get acclimated to the offense, and now they're finding ways to win ball games. Number 26 is more important than Daniel Jones. So that's number 1. They got to find a way to pay Saquon Barkley. Number 2, what will they do at the quarterback position for a guy who's getting $40 million+ to only have 1 win in 5 starts compared to what we're seeing from the mop-up duty at the quarterback position from other guys? This offense, you guys talked about it. What's difference? What's the difference? What has changed? Juice. They have juice at the quarterback position. And it seems like this team is rallying around Tommy DeVito. I'm not saying that they didn't rally around Daniel Jones, but it just looks different. Do you guys kind of follow what I'm saying? Because
100%.
It looks different. The juice, the energy. So they got a hard decision. They had some hard things to think about in the offseason at the quarterback position, because if you're playing a guy $40+ million, the offense needs to look drastically different when he's in the lineup compared to when he's not in the lineup.
The only thing I would offer in this instance, sauce, not juice. They got the sauce. They got the right ingredients in the sauce.
I just want to say this because there will be plenty of time for draft talk, BMAC. The Giants currently have the number 9 pick. I don't know if you're thinking about a quarterback or an offensive tackle or a wide receiver, but it feels now more than ever that quarterback is less in the discussion than it was even 4 hours ago, as BMAC sort of pointed out.
Well, I'll tell you this. What we did just watch is the first undrafted rookie quarterback to win 3 consecutive games with no interceptions across that stretch. He is limiting the mistakes. He's doing what's asked of him, and they're winning football games. On the other side of this one, it's a Green Bay Packer team that suffered a loss that they could not afford. Everything rolling downhill, all the momentum in the world to come into MetLife and win a game you're supposed to. Jordan Love was slow to start, did round into form, make some really nice throws in the second half, but this is one of those character-revealing spots. BMAC, I'm interested in what you saw from that standpoint, going on the road, primetime matchup against a team you're supposed to beat, to put forth the effort you saw. Told you what about the Packers?
They got caught sleeping at the wheel. You know, during our pregame show, we kind of talked about expectations. We went over the line. And I said that this is a trap situation for the Green Bay Packers. On a national stage, the last 3 ball games, they were playing fairly good football solely because of how well Jordan Love was performing. And they started this ball game sleepwalking. Jordan Love started this ball game sleepwalking. And what happens is, remember what I said also, you don't want to just play around with your food. You having your plate, eat it. Don't play around, because if you play around with your food, you will find yourself in what? A 4-quarter ball game. That's what we saw. Because of the slow start, they allowed Tommy DeVito and the rest of the Giants to gain confidence. And they got caught in a very, very difficult position, and they were not able to get out of that said position. And because of that, they squandered away a winning opportunity to kind of keep themselves within reach of that playoff hopes. So now they got to look themselves in the mirror, because they started to read all the clippings. They came into a situation where they felt like, you know what, we're the Green Bay Packers. Last 3 weeks, we've been a hot team. Quarterback has been performing. We show up, put on a uniform, we put points on the scoreboard. That's not the case. So the sense of urgency has to be there from here on out, because of this loss tonight, guys, they have no room for error.
No room at all, B-Mac, and it's funny because just 24 hours ago, I was sitting here with Joe and talking about, well, it's clear that the Packers, based on the way they played and Jordan Love's progress, they appear to be locks. The way the Minnesota Vikings eked out a 3-0 win as the 6th seed, like, okay, this is a situation where teams can move up. And now here we are, Green Bay 6-7, same record as the Rams, the Seahawks, the Falcons, the Saints. And one game behind them, the New York Giants. So to B-Mac's point, you messed around. You didn't take this game as seriously as perhaps you should have. And Jordan Love was a big part of the reason why. You could argue about injuries, but at this point in the process, ask the Giants about injuries. Malik Heath stepped up big. Dontavian Wicks went down with an injury. He came up, made play, had a huge touchdown right before the Tommy DeVito led field goal to end that game there. But I think if you are the Packers, you leave this game feeling good about nothing. I think Jordan Love has to figure some things out, not make the mistakes he made, and that team needs to find a way to get their act together, and to B-Mac's point, perhaps quit reading the internet in terms of how good they are, and focus on the last month of the season.
Plenty were ready to prepare that bust in Canton for Love after a spectacular 3-week stretch. But there's work to be done just to remain in that playoff picture. We're going to take a look at that playoff picture right now, because with the loss by the Packers, we do have our first ticket punched. The X has been marked, and it belongs to the 10-3 49ers, guaranteed a spot. And as B-Mac calls it, the tournament. That's playoff football coming in Santa Clara. Merely a formality here, but with this result, they do ensure themselves that. Ryan, you talked about it, 6-7. Even 5-8 Giants and Bears fans holding out hope for something special
in the hunt
down the stretch. Definitely in the hunt. When you look at those 6-7 teams right now, we're going to have the conversation about swapping in the 4 seed. Who's going to win that division? You told me yesterday it's going to be the Buccaneers, but as it pertains to those next 3 spots, 5, 6, 7, you'd assume 5's taken up. 6-7, still jury out in your eyes?
Yeah, I learned my lesson. I'm going to quit committing to teams that are locks for sure, because the Packers pulled the old switcheroo on me. I like what the Rams are doing. They lost yesterday in overtime in a tough game in Baltimore against a really good Ravens football team who could end up being the first overall seed in the AFC. But I think the Rams offensively have made huge strides in the last year or so. Matthew Stafford is healthy. Puka Nacua is arguably the best offensive weapon on that team, along with Cooper Kupp and, of course, Kyron Williams. And the defense is playing inspired at times, so bend but don't break. So I think they have an opportunity to move up there. But I'll say it, and we talked about it. I would love to see a situation where we see the Bears and the Giants get hot. So you can tell us what's going to happen in Week 18.
Week 18, Lambeau Field, Bears-Packers. I've seen the movie before. I'm not sure I want to see it again, but there could be plenty on the line in that matchup, Brian. B-Mac, as you assess that NFC playoff picture, obviously a big moment here for the Packers. They remain on the inside. Are they still a team that you think can fend off the likes of that pack on the right side of the board?
Yeah, I think so, but they have to play, more sound football. I'm riding with Ryan with the Rams, though, because I think when you look at Sean McVay, he's done a great, incredible job coaching this year. This might be his second best coaching effort outside of the year they won the Super Bowl, based on his ability to do more with less. And we're talking about the Rams having an opportunity to get into the playoffs in December, when you factor in all the adversity they had to face, a turnover of the roster, kind of rebuilding the roster, Cooper Kupp missing time, Matthew Stafford was out, and they're still in the hunt. And they fought for 4 quarters against the Ravens and lost that ball game. But the reason why I really like the Rams, guys, listen to this schedule. They got Washington at home. They got New Orleans at home. They travel to the Giants, in the final game of the season is against San Francisco, at San Francisco. And they're not afraid of the 49ers at all. Sean McVay, he's not afraid of Kyle Shanahan and his team. So if there's another team, if the Green Bay Packers have another slip-up, or another one of those teams in the tournament currently, if they have a slip-up, look out. The Rams might find their way sneaking in the back door.
The Rams could find their way in the back door, says Bryant McFadden, but there are plenty of teams playing with a lot of belief, and there's a lot of belief in Tommy DeVito following this win and that drive by the New York Giants. Gentlemen, thank you. More conversation always to be had with the first pick. It's our guy Ryan Wilson, Rick Spielman sitting down talking about the future of your team, and they're talking about it today. Download, subscribe, and enjoy with the first pick.